afternoon, friends, from Mountain Patriot Homestead. I just wanted to sit and visit with you this afternoon regarding a topic that is pretty appropriate for this time, and it is talking a little bit about some of the weather forecasts, some of the country forecasting that we do around here, some of the things that I've done or heard of all my life, some of the things that I've learned over the years to use. None of it's 100% accurate, but neither is watching, well, you watch the news on the television, it's not 100% accurate either. So, matter of fact, yesterday we were blessed with a half-inch rain that was not forecast and was not expected because the last forecast I had seen had showed it going north and south of us. But we will take any of the precipitation we can get right now because it's so dry. We've not had rain for quite some time. The fields are dry. The ponds are lower than I've ever seen them. So we are just blessed that we got a half-inch rain yesterday. So thank you, Jesus, for the rain. So it's a little appropriate that we're talking about weather and what's maybe to come over this winter, because I did notice, and it seems to be pretty consistent, the closer we get, of course, the more accurate they are. I'm using my hands in the background in case y'all don't know this. I can't talk without my hands, so I'm just waving around like y'all can see my hands or whatever going on, and I know you can't see them, but that's not going to stop me. But anyway, back to what I was saying. The weather for next week, they're calling for like the upper 20s, low 30s for lows for a few nights. So, yeah, it's pretty appropriate that we're talking about some weather changes going on and what may be coming. So, here on the mountain, we know that it's going to get cold at some point. It always does. And that's when we'll probably have our most outdoor projects. It always, a fence building around here seems to be, if, I'm sorry people, my camera is all over the place because I'm trying to balance it on my knee. Where I was going to record this was outside, but the wind is blowing like 20 miles an hour out there, which is why I have this beautiful windswept dew going on up here. Looks like a scrubby pad for the sink, but regardless, the wind was blowing so hard that I couldn't hear myself think, much less y'all be able to hear anything I said. So we're inside, and I'm trying to do this the best I can, and I'm sorry for all the wiggling around and the camera all over the place. But anyway, back to weather predicting and some of the things that I can't say we, I don't know that my husband uses a whole lot of it. He's picked up some things over the years just for me saying it that, now whether he believes in it or not, I don't know, but still, I can't be any more wrong than some of the predictions I hear coming off the TV. Anyway, some of the things that I've noticed throughout the years and some of the things that I've seen recently, one of the things has been the little house spiders. Now, I'm not talking tarantulas, I'm not talking black widows strolling through the house. I'm talking about these little house spiders that when the weather starts changing, they're not stupid. They start coming inside where it's warm. And so I've been noticing some of the little fellas coming in just, hey, how you doing? And they go find a little spot somewhere to hide until summertime rolls back around. So, I've seen some of them in the house. I used to be, people talk about, oh, there's no cures for phobias. Well, I don't know. I used to have arachnophobia really bad. I didn't want to see a spider in a picture book. It didn't matter to me. I didn't like spiders. Don't know why I didn't like spiders. I was bit by a brown recluse once, but I was a grown-up when that happened, and I was scared of spiders. Well, I think I do know why. One reason why I have always been scared of spiders is here's a story. I can't stay on. Bless you. That's Pepper, my sidekick here, my black lab. She was sound asleep and all of a sudden had a sneezing fit. Anyway, that's what that was. There wasn't an explosion in the house. That was my dog blew up. But anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I think some of my phobia of spiders stemmed from when I was a kid. My grandma had an outhouse. She didn't have indoor bathroom. We used an outhouse. And I don't know. I guess I just pictured that there was like some big giant spider was just waiting down inside for me to sit down. I don't know. I have no idea. But regardless, I had arachnophobia so bad. And I had it all my life up until I would say, well, I can tell you almost exactly. I was overseas in a place where there's lots of sand, and there were some spiders there called camel spiders. Now, some people will say, oh, they're not really spiders. I don't care. They got lots of legs. They move really quick. They're probably the fastest spider I've ever seen in my life, and definitely the biggest spiders I've ever seen in my life. I watched a guy try to stomp one, and actually stomped it 3 times, and it was still running, and he shot it. Now, he got in trouble for shooting it, but I have to say that was some of the best marksmanship I ever seen. But I think at that point in time, he had the kill or be killed mentality going on. But anyway, the biggest spider I ever seen. But after that, now you'd think I would be more afraid of spiders. But after that, when I come back home and these little old spiders we got around here, it's like tarantula, big deal, The wolf spiders, who cares about a what? You want to see a real spider? I'll show. So I don't know. It was like a light switch just flipped, and I'm not scared of spiders anymore. Now, do I want them walking on me? No, but if they do, I'm not gonna, do a dance in the middle of the floor like I used to, acting like, my boots was on fire or something. I'm not scared of them like I was. So anyway, I have no idea what that has to do with the price of tea in China, but regardless, the little house spiders that are in the house. Sorry, my nose must be what's making her nose itch. But anyway, spiders don't bother me anymore. So these little house spiders, when they come strolling in, the worst part is keeping the webs swept down. But other than that, little fellas, I don't care. Live and let live. I just relocate them whenever I see them. But the spiders, I've noticed there's been more of them coming in, so they know it's fixing to get cold. Something that happened back whenever I was picking corn this year is I noticed the husks were pretty thick on the corn. That's usually a good indication that you're going to have a cold winter. It always gets cold in the winter here, so I don't know. Are the husks always thick? I don't know, but the husks were thick this year, so that's predicting a cold winter. Again, here on the mountain, it always gets cold in the wintertime, so it's a pretty safe bet that the corn husks are right. Persimmons, don't know if you've got persimmons where you're at, but we have wild persimmon trees around here. A persimmon that grows next to our pond has the best persimmons I've ever put in my mouth. Once it frosts on them and they get soft, they're just like eating honey. You don't need cakes or anything. They are so sweet. It's like eating dates. I don't know if you've ever eaten dates, real dates, like overseas real dates out of the orchard. So sweet. these persimmons are really sweet. Well, persimmons have a role in predicting the weather. Here, if we take the persimmon seeds and cut them open this year, they're the shape in them. It's usually you'll see three shapes. You can see three shapes in persimmon seeds. One's a knife. Now, not all three in one persimmon seed. If I could talk, these videos would be so much shorter and probably a lot easier to follow. In a persimmon seed, there will be a shape, and each persimmon seed, it can look like a knife, it can look like a spoon, or it can look like a fork. This year, they've all looked like spoons that I've seen, and spoons indicate snow, lots of snow. If it's a knife, it's supposed to be a cutting cold. I haven't seen any knives, but I figure if we have snow, we're going to have cold. That usually goes hand in hand. And the other, the fork, I haven't seen any forks this year, and I'm not really sure. It's just escaped me what a fork means. Dinner's ready, I guess. I don't know. I can't, for the life of me right now, think of what a fork means. Mainly because I've never seen a fork. I've seen something that looks like a spork, but I've never seen a fork inside a persimmon. So, if you know what what the fork means, and you want to put that down in the comments, please do, because I'm sorry, I can't remember. Another thing that, I'm sorry if the phone's jostling around, my arms went to sleep. One of these days I'll get professional, but till then, sorry. Another thing that I've noticed this year are the squirrels are really foraging heavily. There's been a big harvest, a big supply of acorns this year. But I'm telling you, those squirrel and deer are tearing it up. And I think the main reason is there's nothing else out there. Now, everything else that normally they eat this time of the year are gone. There's just, things are getting really bad forage-wise. And so I think as soon as an acorn hits the ground, they're eating it. Which means they're not going to have a lot held back for the wintertime. I just hope some of these little old squirrels have been hiding things, because if not, they're going to get awful hungry. The deer's gonna be suffering. They're really, I think a lot of us are going to see them coming out readily to the hay and things this year, because they're going to be hungry. But speaking of squirrels, I was a goof I know that surprises you. I was a goof this past year, and I went out and I picked up a bunch of black walnuts, and I put them in my greenhouse. I thought this will be a good place. They can sit in here, they can dry out, and then when I get time, I'll crack them once they get good and dried out. Well, anytime I say when I get time, that usually means I'm going to forget it, and at some point I'm going to look at it again and say, well, I meant to do that, but, well, maybe when I get time. And that's the way when I get time projects go for me, they just keep getting put off. And so anyway, I had harvested a bunch of black walnuts. I'd put them in my greenhouse, letting them dry out. Anyway, this past spring and summer, it started getting warm in the greenhouse, and so I opened up the storm door that's in the greenhouse, and it had it where the screen was letting the air flow through. Went out across the yard one day and noticed, because I didn't have plants. The plants had already been transplanted out in the garden, so I wasn't going in there checking plants or anything. So I hadn't noticed that there had been activity in the greenhouse. So I was walking across the yard and noticed that the screen was flapping in the breeze. And it's like, what has tore up the screen in my storm door? I was getting ready. I was fixing to yell at dogs. I was fixing to yell at ducks, chickens. It didn't matter to me. I was fixing to yell at something. Something done tore up my screen door. Well, I went over there to see if I could find any evidence of who the culprit was. I opened up that door and I looked inside. And there was black walnut shells. Shells, mind you. They'd done eat all the nuts out of them. And I have to say, I have to admire them squirrels, because it takes me a hammer and a concrete block and a lot of language for me to bust black walnuts. Well, they obviously didn't have any problem, because there was black walnut shells scattered all over the inside of that greenhouse. And not a piece of black walnut left. But them little suckers had done tore my screen out of my door to go in there and get it. If they'd have knocked, if they would have asked, hey, can I go in there and have those black walnuts that you ain't ever going to get to, I'd have probably let them have them. But they tore up my door to go get them. Tore up my door. So, had to get some, I didn't get regular screen wire. We got some of that little tiny square mesh like you build with a rabbit cage or something like that, and put that on the door. So maybe if I'm stupid and put something else in there that they want, they can't just rip it out and go on in. Or maybe they'll come and knock and ask, hey, can we have that? And I'd rather open the door and let them have it than them tear the dang door up. But anyway, I hope they got full, but they foraged my black walnuts out of my greenhouse. So it doesn't surprise me that they're eating all the acorns out of the woods. But normally what I see them doing is they'll eat some and they'll bury all the rest. But I haven't seen any sign of them burying any. So I don't know. I figure they're just going to be some hungry little buggers by the time it's all over with. And another thing that almost all of us notice are when the geese start flying south for the winter. This year what I noticed though is the geese started flying south. The first group I seen went through in August. It's not, there's no cold fronts around here in August. The closest thing to a cold front in August is October. There's no cold fronts in August, not here. So I don't know what that group was doing. I don't know if they were like flying down to get first dibs on an Airbnb. I don't know what they were doing. But they were dang sure flying south in August. I have no idea why. But I guess they down there and got their tan on. And the rest of them, when they get there, they'll have to find their own beach to hang out on. I don't know. Another thing around here that I pay attention to, don't know what you call them in your area, or if you even have them in your area, but some places they call them woolly worms, some places they call them woolly bears, but it's those little fuzzy caterpillar, I forgot what moth they turn into. I don't know. Probably never knew. I just wanted to sound intelligent, but too late for that. But anyway, it's some type of little I can't even pronounce the word. Caterpillar that is black with a brown stripe around the middle. Now the brown stripe, depending on, now here's how the tail goes. Depending on how wide the brown stripe is around the middle is how hard the winter's going to be. If it's a thin brown stripe, it's going to be a harder winter than if it's a thick brown stripe. The thicker the brown stripe, the less harsh winter. Well, I seen one this year that I thought was a woolly worm. It was completely black, and it was like, oh, well, either we're having no winter, Armageddon's coming, or this is just like a really confused worm. But come to find out, it was a totally different type of caterpillar. So, yeah. Anyway, The others that I've seen, though, have had thin brown stripes, which is supposed to mean a cold winter. Okay, so we've got persimmon seeds saying cold. We've got woolly bears saying cold. The squirrels are eating up all their dinner before the dinner bell rings. The corn husk, the spiders, everybody's saying cold. So, I don't know. Is it going to be cold? Yes, we live in the Ozark Mountains. It's going to be cold. At some point, it may not be cold tomorrow, but here's my prediction, folks, and y'all bear with me, and you check back with me in January, February. Guarantee you, in January, February, we're going to have snow. It's going to be cold. We're all going to be talking about, it ain't never going to warm up. And then when it does warm up, we'll be complaining about that. So, anyway, what type of weather predictions, forecasting type other than, you know, the National Weather Service, do you use in your area? Do you have some type of old wives' sayings? If not, ask your old wife and ask, you know, find out. No, don't do that, guys. You might get in trouble. But anyway, find out and share with me if you've got any predictors that you use in your area. Put them down in the comments below. Let me know how you like these videos. If there's something you'd like to hear me ramble about or that y'all would like to visit with, let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. It's kind of hard just sitting here talking to myself and not knowing if anybody wants to hear anything I have to say. So let me know. If you like these videos, please subscribe, hit the like button. Again, comment. Let me know how you're doing. Know that I seriously care how y'all are doing. We've all got to stick together. We really do. Anyway, love you. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.